Hey everybody, what's going on? I hope you're all doing okay like I am. And I'm sorry it's been much more months since I've been doing videos on YouTube, and it's been 5 months already since I made my last one. But now here we are, ready to do this video, which is something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. And I'm really excited to do it. And we're going to be ranking all movies from worst to best, directed by the one and only Michael Bay. He is a director who has made 14 movies, and we're going to be talking about them because I really do have the need to be talking about my thoughts on his movies very briefly in this video. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. And first, I just want to say, I'm not going to say what I think of him right now. From what I think of him as a director, whether if it's good or bad or mostly good or whatever, I'm gonna wait a little bit until I get to a certain point. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it like a little mystery until later on in the video. So yeah, so let's get going. Starting off at number 14, Michael Bay's worst movie of all time is Pain and Gain. Is Michael Bay's worst movie. Now, this is not a bad movie, and I don't hate it. In fact, I actually was really looking forward to this movie. I was really looking forward to it. But unfortunately, it really let me down. I did not like this movie at all. I am aware that it is based on a true story, and it's about three bodybuilders played by Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne Johnson, and Anthony Mackie, who are really sick and tired of their lives, of how they're going and all that, while they are working at their bodybuilding companies. And they want to find a way to make more money and have a better life than they do. So they meet up together and they pick the perfect candidate to steal from, who is this gem guy who is like a total douchebag and all. But they have to find a way to force him to sign away all his money. But it ends up leading the three main characters into getting drawn to committing crimes. And seriously, the way a lot of things that were executed in this movie, I thought was executed very, very poorly. And I'm sure a lot of other people did, because a lot of people did not like this movie and they thought it sucked. And anyone who hates this movie, I would not blame them for it. I mean, like I said, I didn't hate it, but it was just still not a good movie at all that I do not need to watch ever again. And we should care about these three characters. I mean, obviously because they're the main characters, but also they're, professional bodybuilders, and they want to be able to make more money and be very successful and rich because, that's their dream. But this movie fails to make us like these characters because of the decisions that they make and all, and it's just so fucking ridiculous. When it comes to making movies based on true stories, we not only want them to be good, but we want them to be great. But I do not know what happened with this movie, meaning I don't know if a lot of it was incorrect or inaccurate and all. All I can say is that even if Michael Bay did get everything in this movie right, like how it actually happened, this movie, unfortunately, would still not be good at all. Because yes, this movie is based on a true story, but a very bad story. This movie is based on a true bad story. So Pain and Gain really never should have been made. The people that our main characters play in this movie that it is based on are just not good at all. Plus, there's also a lot of WTF moments that are just so stupid as fucking hell, and are not very fun to watch at all. Even the ending, oh my god, the ending was also a horrific letdown, and decisions that were made to our main characters that was not fair at all, even though they did do shit that was wrong. But still, there were things that were chosen to happen that were still just not right. I found this movie to be very soulless and also very offensive. We need movies based on true stories where the stories are good. if they make a movie based on a story that's not good, then it's obviously not going to be a good movie at all. Even if Steven Spielberg directed this movie, it would still not be good at all. Because, I mean, how could a movie based on a true story be good if the story is very bad? I mean, that's impossible. So, like I said, this movie never should have been made. Pain and Gain is a film that is not worth your time, and you should just stay away from this movie. This is not like the worst movie of all time. There's a lot of movies that are worse than this, but it's still an absolute mediocre movie and still should not have been made. So, Pain and Gain is easily Michael Bay's worst movie of all time, and of course that's obviously why it's at the very bottom of this list at number 14. Coming in at number 13. The Island is my second least favorite Michael Bay movie. Now, to be honest, I think this movie is fine for what it is, but it really is not one of Michael Bay's best movies. This movie is about this island that is filled with all of these people, including our two main characters, and they don't have any idea who they really are, and don't know that they're even on an island. And at times, the people who work at this business on this island at times inform some of the people who live on this island that they're going to be moved to an island and they're going to be moved somewhere to have a great and better life. But unfortunately, it all turns out to be lies, and eventually, like, all these people are going to be put down like animals, just like that. Now, the premise of this movie is interesting, but also kind of weird. But at the same time, this movie could have been so much better than it was. I mean, there are some fun and thrilling moments in this movie, but it has a lot of script problems, and there's quite a lot of laughable and silly decisions made by characters that really don't make any sense at all. You can just tell that this movie just doesn't want to be like something like that amazing, to have like a really great, awesome adventure that feels like a breathtaking adventure. It's like this movie, it's like, the plot of this movie then involves our two main characters escaping and going out into the actual world, like in America, to figure everything out and try to bring this insanity all to an end that's happening with these people. And it's just, and like I said, there are some fun moments, but this film just could have been so much better than it turned out to be. This is a fine, enjoyable movie, but it's certainly not a great movie. I would say this is not even good enough to be considered a B movie. This is like B minus or C plus. Like, this movie actually is close to being below average and kind of mediocre. Obviously better than Pain and Gain, but not better than any of the other movies that Michael Bay has directed in his life so far. The Island is fine for what it is, but it's not a very great movie and obviously not one of his best. And people do actually think it is one of his best. People on YouTube have said that this is like one of his best movies, if not his best, which I find absolutely ridiculous. There is no fucking way this is one of his best. I find this to be easily one of his worst movies, and for obvious reason. The Island is an enjoyable movie that's fine for what it is, but it's not any better than that. Other than that, it's not a very great movie, and being lucky of being average is the best I can say about it. So, The Island is for sure as hell one of his worst movies, despite what a lot of other people may say, and it's my pick for the second worst Michael Bay movie of all time, and that's of course why it's at number 13. Coming in at number 12. Six Underground, Michael Bay's most recent movie and his first movie to go straight to Netflix. I had fun with this movie. Ryan Reynolds is really good in this movie, as well as Corey Hawkins, who was so good in 24 Legacy. Again, all the acting is good in this movie. And I didn't mention the acting. It is good in Pain and Gain. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, all the acting in Six Underground was good. And Ryan Reynolds was good in this movie, and I gotta be honest, I think Ryan Reynolds is pretty funny, especially in the Deadpool movies and the Change Up. I love Ryan Reynolds. He is awesome and hilarious. I really do think this is a fun movie to watch. I do like Six Underground. I don't own this movie because it is on Netflix, and although I did see that there is like Blu-ray available, although I don't know if it is available, but if it is, I'll probably own it. But I don't know if they would have Netflix movies on Blu-ray or DVD, but I do think this is a pretty enjoyable movie that's like fine for what it is, and that's actually all I really have to say. Six Underground is an enjoyable movie, better than The Island and Pain and Gain, and yeah, it is my third to least favorite. I wanted to like this movie even more, but couldn't quite do it. But I still have fun. But like I said, still a fun movie to watch. So Six Underground is number 12. Coming in at number 11, The Rock is a very fun action movie with great performances led by Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, as well as Ed Harris, Michael Biehn, and everyone else who's in this movie. And this has very fun action sequences. The Rock has a very good story, along with other action movies where terrorists are taking innocent people hostage at some location, and in this case, the terrorists are former US Marines. This movie is really good. However, I actually really like it better when Nicolas Cage is the badass, when he's the protagonist of an action movie. Although it is great to see Sean Connery kick some ass again in an action movie after only God knows how many years since he last played James Bond. And Ed Harris is really good as the main villain, although I will say he is kind of a weak villain. And this isn't like, a masterpiece. It's not like exactly one of the best action movies of all time, and it does have some problems. But this is still a perfectly fun action movie that I will always enjoy watching. And I'm really, really sorry that I couldn't put this higher on the list. I'm sure you all are shocked that this is very low on the list. I'm sorry, but there are still most Michael Bay movies that I actually do like more than this that we still got to get to. But The Rock is still a very fun action movie. So The Rock, number 11. Coming in at number 10. Now, as I've already said, I don't like Pain and Gain. The Island is fine for what it is. Six Underground is decent. And I really like The Rock. I came very, very close to loving Armageddon. Armageddon is a very good and very underrated disaster movie. And this got Razzie nominations, including Worst Picture. Worst Picture. What was wrong with this movie? This movie was so good. I mean, there are flaws with this movie, including some moments that are dumb and don't make sense. And this movie is still very fun to watch. I really like this movie a lot, and it's very, very freaking intense. Armageddon is one of the most intense disaster movies I've ever seen in my life, and one of the most intense movies, period, that I've ever seen in my life. It's just so fucking intense with all the disaster that's happening when meteors are hitting Earth, and then people who become astronauts, including our main character played by Bruce Willis, becomes astronauts, and when they go up to destroy the giant or asteroid from destroying Earth, when things are moving around and all that, even with the finale, it's just so intense with all the crazy shit that's happening. It's just, my God, it is just crazy. And let's be honest here, all the performances are very good in this movie. I love Bruce Willis. I have loved Bruce Willis forever. He is an awesome guy. I've always loved Bruce Willis, and I always will. This is a very good movie. And Ben Affleck, I also love. Ben Affleck is very good in this movie. Billy Bob Thornton, Liv Tyler. This film is just so good. And great top-notch CGI and all that. Everything looks terrific. And this movie has heart, too, to be honest. It really does have heart. You really do care about these characters. Armageddon is a damn good movie. It is really one of the better disaster movies I've ever seen in my life so far. Armageddon is so damn good and did not deserve any Razzie nominations. I still don't quite love Armageddon, but I came close to it. It's still a very, very damn good movie that everyone should watch and own on Blu-ray because it's a very, very good movie. So Armageddon, number 10. Coming in at number 9. Transformers: The Last Knight. Now, as I've already said, Pain and Gain is not good at all and mediocre. The Island is average. Six Underground is decent. The Rock is very good. And Armageddon is so damn good. Transformers The Last Night is a great movie. And it is the first movie on this list that I love that Michael Bay has directed in his life so far. Now, first, I want to say, now that this is, the first film to talk about on this list that I love that Michael Bay has directed, there are still more movies that we have yet to talk about than those that I've already talked about. And this is the first film to talk about that I love. And I gotta be honest with you. Like, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, is he not saying what I think he's saying? Well, sorry haters, but yes, Michael Bay is an awesome director. I love Michael Bay as a director. Michael Bay is awesome. People have said he is such a bad director, one of the worst movie directors ever made. That is 100% bullshit. Michael Bay is fucking awesome. You haters are way too hard on him. I cannot believe people think he sucks as a director, which is bullshit. No, you are dead wrong about Michael Bay. He is a great director. Michael Bay is one of the best action movie directors of all time. Period. However, now, this is the weakest Transformers movie, period. And that includes, it's not as good as Bumblebee either. And Bumblebee is a great movie, but can't make the list, of course, because Michael Bay didn't direct it. But I do think it's better than this as well. So yeah, this is the weakest Transformers movie so far. And I do gotta say this was a little bit of a step down for me. But for the most part, I still have a great time with this movie. I still think The Last Night is still a damn good movie. I really love this movie. I don't really like how Michael Bay was going back and forth to like full screen, widescreen, full screen, widescreen. Like, yeah, I don't know why Michael Bay was doing that. She could have just kept it at like full screen from beginning to end. Like, I don't know why he did that. That was weird, to be honest. But while I love all the other films, like the first four, even though I did love this movie, it was a little bit of a step down for me. And it does bug me that people have put this on their number one spot for worst movie of 2017. Although it doesn't quite bug me as another film, which we will talk about very soon. But it's still absolute bullshit that this movie is the worst film of 2017. I mean, you probably haven't seen like the Emoji Movie, although I didn't hate that film as much as most people. But like, really? Like, even if you saw the Emoji Movie and like Diary of Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul, like, you would still think this is you are for sure wrong about that. I strongly think this is still a great movie. Even though this was a little bit of a step down in the franchise for me, it is still a great film. Mark Wahlberg gives an excellent performance just like he did in Age of Extinction, as well as everybody else. This movie is awesome. And it was also great to see Josh Duhamel back in this franchise after he wasn't in Age of Extinction. And I love his character in the first three films, and it's great to see him back in this movie. And he's great in this movie, just like he was in the first three. Haters just, oh well. But I find it criminal to have this film at number one for worst movie of 2017, because even if I agree this movie was not good, there would still be a shit ton of movies that were worse from that year than this film. But still, even though this is the weakest so far, Transformers The Last Night is still a great movie, but still not as good as most movies that Michael Bay has directed, and we're about to go ahead and get to them. So, bottom line, Transformers Last Night is a great movie, but not quite one of my favorite movies of his that he's directed, and that's saying something good for Michael Bay, despite what all his haters say. Michael Bay is awesome, and this movie proves that he's awesome. So yeah. So Transformers Last Night, number 9. Coming in at number 8. Pearl Harbor is at the top of my bottom half of this list. And just like with Transformers, I am aware that a lot of people don't like this movie. And I can understand why people don't like this movie, because I will say the romance in this movie is totally inaccurate to the true events on Pearl Harbor. But I Guys, I'm actually really sorry, but I just cannot help myself from loving this movie. I mean, I am aware I'm sure there are some incorrect things about things that actually did happen in real life, like even before the attack, like didn't happen at like the right time. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but with that being said, I mean, I still find this to be a romantic film that is filled with heart and has great characters. I really do love this movie. I mean, I find the romance to be really romantic, not awkward at all. But again, I can understand that people don't like this movie because of the romance. However, this is still a very well made movie. Besides that I really do love this movie and find the romance to be romantic and not awkward, even though it is inaccurate for a fact for the true events about when we entered World War II. That being said, you still have to at least agree, whether you like it or not, that the battle sequences in this movie are awesome and very well made, with a great original music score and visual effects, special effects. Michael Bay did a great job making this movie. This movie looks absolutely amazing. Absolute top notch. But also, in my opinion, this movie still has great characters, and the movie I actually find very romantic and not awkward at all. Pearl Harbor is such an awesome and fun movie to watch. And I've heard some people say that this movie tried to be like Titanic and failed. I do not agree. I think that was a total success. I understand that that's not really the, accurate way of making this movie, but either way, I'm actually fine with this movie being like this. And one other thing, even the acting is great. Everybody gives a great performance in Pearl Harbor, which is something else I would like to talk about. People who hate this movie have actually said that all the acting in this movie is terrible, and Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, Kate Beckinsale were all terrible in this movie. People, no, they weren't. Everyone was great in this movie. All the acting was top notch. Everybody gave a great performance in this movie. Like, guys, people, you all know that the acting was great. The only reason why you're saying the acting was terrible is because you're just trying to make a goddamn excuse to help you rant on the movie. The romance that's inaccurate and maybe script as well are really the only problems that you have with this movie. Those are the only reasons why you hate this movie. Everyone gives a great performance. All the acting is great, top notch. You all know that. You're just saying that to just make a fucking excuse to help you rant on this movie. And even, let me say this. Even Tom Sizemore, you know who Tom Sizemore is. He was in this movie, and he was also in other great war movies like Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down, which came out the same year as Pearl Harbor, which also has Josh Hartnett. And there's actually a few actors that were in Pearl Harbor and Black Hawk Down. Are you going to even say that Tom Sizemore's acting was bad in Pearl Harbor, even though his character doesn't have anything to do with the romance? I mean, why was Tom Sizemore, as well as like other people like in Black Hawk Down, like Josh Hartnett, like why were they good in Black Hawk Down, but terrible in Pearl Harbor? Because Pearl Harbor had a lot of inaccurate romance, and Black Hawk Down didn't? Not a chance. Not a fucking chance. Everyone gave a great performance in this movie. If you're saying the acting is terrible, as well as other things like visual effects, the battle sequences, and the music score, you talking trash on any of those things, especially the acting, you're just saying that just to make a goddamn excuse to help you rant on this movie. Everyone gave a great performance. Period. And you all know that. But for me personally, I really do love Pearl Harbor. I mean, I am aware it's not accurate and it's incorrect, but it's still romantic in my opinion, and it does have great characters, especially Rafe, played by Ben Affleck, great protagonist. So, and that's it for the first half of for my list. We're halfway done. Let's get a move on here. And I love Pearl Harbor, and that's why, and think it's better than the others we've already talked about. That's why it's number 8. Coming in at number 7. The one where it all started, Bad Boys. Michael Bay's first movie that he has ever directed his entire life. This is a fucking awesome movie. I have always loved this movie since I first saw it. Bad Boys is a great movie and easily one of the best action movies of the 90s. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence as Mike Larry and Marcus Burnett are both fantastic in this movie. They gave a terrific performance in this movie along with the two sequels. And I'm sure we all know that 3, known as Bad Boys for Life, cannot be on here because it was not directed by Michael Bay, which is a shame, but oh well. This is how it is. And we are getting a Bad Boys 4 at some point. And I'm looking forward to it. But Mike Larry, I have to say, is my favorite character, who was played by Will Smith, and Marcus Burnett's played by Martin Lawrence. Awesome character. And they're really funny. This movie is so funny. And the action is awesome and fun to watch. And this movie is so badass. Bad Boys is an absolute blast from beginning to end. With, like I said, great performances, very well directed film, and a very well written script, and great characters, like I already said. And Téa Leoni, she was really good as Julie in this movie, that they were protecting throughout the entire film. And Teresa Redl, who's also in Space Jam. A pretty good cast right here. I love Bad Boys. Awesome action. And story is just very well told. And the main villain, played by, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but that's the kind of villain that we should, see in any action movie. Like, he was a good villain. He really was. When he, starting with robbing, a bank, and then it's like, he's, a professional criminal with no fucking heart, and it's just, this is just such a great movie. It is so good. It's obviously one of the best action movies of the 90s, and easily one of the best movies of the year 1995. This movie is a blast. I will always love this movie, and I'm proud of that. And you all should be too for loving this movie that much. Better than most Michael Bay movies, but still quite a bit of others, just not as much as before, that I think are better than this. Michael Bay needs more credit than he gets, because he is awesome. And this movie is awesome. Bad Boys is an awesome movie. Love it. And therefore, that movie is on this list at number 7. Coming in at number 6. Transformers: Age of Extinction. Now, as I've said, it really bugs me that people have put Transformers: The Last Night on their number 1 spot for worst movie of 2017. But I have mentioned that doesn't bug me as another movie on this list, and this is the one. It bugs me even more that people have put Transformers: Age of Extinction on the number 1 worst spot of 2014, which is the dumbest thing ever. I find it so baffling that anybody thinks this movie is that bad. No, people, Transformers: Age of Extinction was an awesome movie and was definitely one of the best movies of 2014. Like I said, I did enjoy The Last Night. I thought it was a damn good movie, but it was a little bit of a step down for me. This one was not. This one absolutely met my expectations, even though I wasn't really happy that they were going to do different human characters. But I got over it, of course, and this movie was still fucking amazing. Transformers: Age of Extinction is a masterpiece. It had a great story, great characters, and all the acting was good as well. Mark Wahlberg gave a great performance, and people are going to say he was bad in this movie. No, people. Everybody gave a great performance, even Mark Wahlberg. All the acting was great in this movie. And the movie had great storytelling and a great plot and everything about, just like its predecessors, trying to save the human race from getting extinct by the Decepticons. Like I said, the acting was great, and y'all just gonna make it up an excuse, just like with Pearl Harbor. Everything about this movie is terrific. I love Transformers: Age of Extinction. It is an awesome movie. I strongly think this movie is absolutely amazing, and it is also, for sure, one of Michael Bay's best movies. It really is. But of course, I do agree with all of you that this is not his number 1 best movie of all time, because there's 5 movies he made that I think are better than this. But either way, this movie is absolutely awesome, despite all the ridiculous hate that it's gotten. Transformers: Age of Extinction, awesome movie, number 6. Coming in at number 5. Transformers, the one where it all started. Transformers is such an amazing movie. Shia LaBeouf, Josh Duhamel, Tyrese Gibson, and Megan Fox are all great in these first few movies. All the acting was great in these movies, and the visual effects were amazing, top-notch CGI and all that, and even the action sequences were fucking awesome. I have always loved this movie when I first saw it, and I always will. I was blown away when this movie came out in theaters. I saw it in theaters with my dad, and I had a blast from beginning to end. My only thing with this movie is that only 2 Transformers in this movie have a mini-con. And you know how with the toys and in the TV show, there's all these mini-cons that all the Transformers have? Like, not all of them have mini-cons in this movie. Like, only 2 of them have them. Like, the helicopter has Scorpion, and the police officer Decepticon has that one that turns into a boombox. I mean, it would be nice if all the others had mini-cons as well. And it is a little odd that Optimus Prime, the main Autobot, is not in like the first like 50 minutes or is in the second half or whatever. But with that being said, this is still a fantastic movie. I really think that this movie has fantastic and amazing storytelling, and all the characters are great. And even Anthony Anderson was also great in this movie. And it's a shame we never got to see him in any of the sequels. Same with Rachel Taylor's character and Jon Voight's character, who was the Secretary of Defense. Although the first Transformers movie is the only one that came out when George Bush was president, and you can understand why, you know. But I think those were like good characters. Would be so great to see him again in the sequels, but we didn't, which I think sucks. But either way, these movies are still fantastic for what they are. I have always loved Transformers, and I always will. It is, without a doubt, one of the best science fiction movies of the 2000s, if not one of the best science fiction movies of all time. Transformers is awesome. It is up there to being one of Michael Bay's best movies of all time, and that is why it's at number 5 on this list. Coming in at number 4. 13 Hours is such an awesome and amazing movie. This is definitely one of Michael Bay's best movies. I love everything about this movie. In fact, I do not have a single flaw with this movie. 13 Hours is a masterpiece. It's even one of the best movies of all time based on true stories. James Badgedale and John Krasinski and everyone else were also great in this movie. And from what I heard, one of the people of one of the characters that this movie is based on said that everything that happened in this movie is pretty much how it exactly happened. What can I say? That is definitely an amazing way. And obviously the right way to make a movie based on a true story, you know? So yeah, that is one of the reasons why this movie is so great. And I do not understand why this movie has a bad rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 50 some with the Splat. It's like, I don't know why it's at that rating. This is definitely one of Michael Bay's best movies. The action sequences were excellent, the characters were great, everything about this movie is remarkable. So, why does this movie have a bad rating on Rotten Tomatoes? Oh yeah, that's right. Because movie critics are fucking idiots. So it doesn't matter what the critics say. 13 Hours is an amazing movie with top-notch and awesome action sequences, and has absolutely nothing wrong with it. I have always loved this movie since it came out, and I always will love it. It is an amazing movie. I love it so much, and it is definitely, of course, one of Michael Bay's best movies, and that's why it's number 4. Coming in at number 3. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is definitely an amazing movie and one of Michael Bay's best movies, and one of the best movies ever made despite all of the dumbass hate that it's gotten. Seriously, I just cannot believe most people actually thinks this movie is terrible. Well, guess what? People, that is absolute bullshit. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is an awesome movie. This movie has a great story, great characters, great action sequences, a great written script, and great everything. And this movie has good humor as well. This movie is also pretty funny at times. And the acting was great too. Shia LaBeouf, Josh Duhamel, and Tyrese Gibson were once again great in this movie. And Megan Fox actually gave a much better performance in this movie than she did in the first film. And John Turturro's character is much more likable in this movie, as well as Dark of the Moon and The Last Night, because in that first film, he was, a total dick. But now he's a great character and I really do like him. I am just so sick and tired of all these fucking imbeciles saying how horrendously awful this movie is, which is just ridiculous. Like, no, this movie is awesome. People have even talked shit about the butt fucking dog scene shortly after the beginning of the movie, the metal balls added to that ginormous Decepticon that appears at the very end, and even the hump scene with that little robot humping Megan Fox. Like, that is all funny. That's supposed to be funny, and it was. Michael Bay put those in the movie to add some humor to it. And just because it's not a comedy doesn't mean there was no need for them to not put funny moments in a movie like this. I mean, there's funny moments in Star Wars movies as well as, MCU movies, and it's like same with these movies. Like, Michael Bay was adding humor to this. These were supposed to be funny, and they were funny, especially with the balls. It's like, why to make it funny, people? It's supposed to be funny, and it was. It worked. That was funny. It was supposed to make people laugh. It's like, I just don't understand how you fucking idiots do not realize that. It was funny. And the ending, of course, was definitely satisfying. I have just had it with so many people saying that this movie sucks because it doesn't. Revenge of the Fallen is a masterpiece. Even those of you that says it really is that bad and even gives it a grade of an F and will snap back and say, no, this movie sucks, period. And, really take it that seriously, then you people really make me sick. But you know what? I need to calm down because I need to stay positive here because we're talking about the movies very high on this list that I really love. And I need to stay positive. But at the same time it does bug me that people completely disagree with me about this and all, and it's just and I don't want to be a dick or anything. Like, I'm not trying to be that, and that's the last thing I want to be. But I am still trying to make a point here. Again, not trying to be a dick, but it's still how I feel, and you get the picture. So it's time to be positive. I am so glad that I finally got to defend this awesome movie because I'm just so sick and tired of all these haters for this movie, and it just makes me want to just explode every time I hear anyone says it's that bad, because it's not. I have always loved this movie. I loved it since it came out, and I still love it that much. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen was one of the best movies of 2009. It's one of the best science fiction movies of all time, one of the best action movies of all time, and it really is one of my favorite movies of all time. And of course, definitely one of Michael Bay's best movies, and it is well deserved all the way up at number 3. It does not deserve any of the hate, and it really for sure does deserve to be at number 3 for Michael Bay's best movies. So, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, you deserve to be number 3. Coming in at number 2, Bad Boys 2 for sure as hell had no chance of not being at the top of my list, because this movie is one of the best action sequels ever made, one of the best action movies ever made, and even, in my opinion, one of the best movies ever made, for sure as hell, and that's definitely saying something for my pick for number 1. The villain is great, the action sequences are awesome, and the story is excellent and really could not have been any better. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are both, once again, great in this movie, just like they were in the first one and the third one, which can't be on this list because Michael Bay didn't direct it. The action in this movie is total badass, especially the climax of this movie, when they're in Cuba and they have to save, the girl played by Gabrielle Union from that mansion. My god, awesome final battle. It's just so awesome. Gabrielle Union was very good in this movie, as well as Peter Stormare, Teresa Retto, and everyone else. And this movie is also very funny. It really does have a lot of great humor. The main villain of this movie, who is a Cuban drug lord, is very ruthless and evil, and is the definition of a villain. He is honestly one of the most underrated action movie villains of all time. And seriously, people actually think The Rock is better than this movie right here, and I, I, I just don't see why. I really don't see why. I find it so obvious that all three Bad Boys movies are better than The Rock, especially this one. In fact, I could go on for hours explaining why Bad Boys 2 in particular is a much, much, much better movie than The Rock in every single possible way. I mean, in Bad Boys 2, you have better action sequences than The Rock, you have a better story, you have better characters, and even Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's characters have much better chemistry with each other than Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery do in The Rock. It's so incredibly obvious that Bad Boys 2 is 100% better than The Rock. And all three of these movies have better villains than The Rock. The Rock is a perfectly fun action movie, but Bad Boys 2, man, this is a film. Like, a great film, great action movie, you get the picture. Bad Boys 2 is one of the best action movie sequels of all time, best sequels in general of all time, one of the best action movies, and it is even one of my favorite movies of all time. This is an action movie sequel that deserves as much love and attention, just like Terminator 2. This movie really is as good as Terminator 2. I really wish everyone agrees with me, but they don't. But I'm telling you all right now, this movie really is as good as Terminator 2 and Die Hard. It really is one of the best action movies of all time. And I think it's one of the best movies of all time. Bad Boys 2 is a masterpiece, and it really deserves to be this high on this list. And it had no chance of missing being very high on this list. So, Bad Boys 2 is, for sure, easily one of Michael Bay's best movies, and for obvious reason, and that is why it is all the way up on this list at number 2. Well, here we go. My pick for the best Michael Bay movie of all time, and I'm sure you all can guess what it is because we've already covered the rest, of course. And so, this is my favorite Michael Bay movie of all time. This is the movie that I strongly, strongly think is his best movie, and I think it's one of the best and most amazing movies ever made, and Michael Bay should be so proud of himself for making this amazing masterpiece. So here we go. The number one best Michael Bay movie of all time is Transformers: Dark of the Moon is the best Michael Bay movie of all time. Transformers: Dark of the Moon is an awesome masterpiece. It has an amazing story and the best story in the entire franchise. The action sequences are amazing and awesome. The visual effects are top notch, and everyone gives an amazing performance once again by Shia LaBeouf, Josh Duhamel, Tyrese Gibson, and John Turturro. And Rosie Huntington-Whiteley is also really good in this movie. And it's a really big shame Megan Fox couldn't be in this movie. And I really do, of course, love her character Michaela a lot more than, the British girl played by Rosie. But she is still great in this movie. And, I mean, unfortunately, Megan Fox is not in this movie. She was, but she got fired because Michael Bay, I am aware, is not exactly a 0% asshole, but he is still a great director despite all that. But really wish she would be good to Megan Fox. If you were, then she wouldn't be, With that being said, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley is still great in this movie. And I gotta be honest, this is a movie in the franchise where the enemy was actually really starting to piss me off. I remember seeing this movie in theaters and I was pretty antsy, which I didn't like. But the thing about it is that when it came to that humans were actually working with the Decepticons, and it was just, oh my god. And then there were just twists and turns and shocking deaths that really traumatized me. But this movie is just so amazing. And I was so ready for the Autobots to once again defeat the Decepticons. And the human traitors, of course, as well. So ready for those fuckers to die. And I cannot describe how satisfied I was when they were all defeated. Even that finale in the movie is just awesome as hell. And not only is it the best finale in the entire franchise, but it's also one of the best epic movie finales of all time I have ever seen in an action movie. Michael Bay did such an amazing job directing the finale as well as the rest of the movie that leads up to it. I just love this movie so much. And I can't believe this movie actually got hate too. At least people thinks this is an improvement over Revenge of the Fallen, but it's still a masterpiece to me. I really wish everyone agreed. This is The Empire Strikes Back of the Transformers movies, and this is in my top 20 favorite movies of all time. Transformers Dark of the Moon is really one of the best movies of all time. You haters just say whatever the fuck you want, but Transformers Dark of the Moon really is one of the best movies of all time. And the finale is also almost an hour long. Yeah, the whole big epic finale in the city is almost an hour long. What else more do you want? This is exactly what I need. An action movie with a finale that's that long. Like, that is so satisfying. Like, that is amazing. This is easily the best Transformers movie of all time. It has the best story, it has the best action sequences, and it has, of course, again, great characters and great performances, visual effects, special effects, CGI, everything is top notch in this movie. Like, I don't see what's wrong with this movie. Transformers Dark of the Moon is an amazing and incredible movie that really could not have been any better. Transformers Dark of the Moon was my favorite movie of 2011. It's one of the best action sequels of all time, one of the best sci-fi sequels of all time, one of the best science fiction movies of all time, one of the best action movies of all time, and I really think this is one of the best action movies of all time, and it is definitely Michael Bay's best movie of all time, and for good, obvious reason. Transformers Dark of the Moon is the best Michael Bay movie of all time, and that is why it is number one. Well, there you have it. That's my ranking for all Michael Bay movies from worst to best. And comment below and tell me, what's your ranking? What's your favorite Michael Bay movie of all time? What is your least favorite? Which ones do you love? Which ones do you hate? Just tell me below, and I'm curious to know. What is your ranking? So, thank you all very much for watching. I had a great time making this video, and I'm so glad I finally got to make it because I love Michael Bay. I think he's an overhated director and underrated director as well. Michael Bay, I love you. I cannot wait for Ambulance with Jake Gyllenhaal. Don't listen to the haters, Michael. You should be proud of yourself for making these movies, or at least most of them. Good luck with the rest of your career and your life. You're an awesome director. So, look forward to more videos. I will get to them as soon as I can. Thank you all so much for watching, and until then, have a good one.